names of the women I've killed, but I've killed many of them.
Essentially, we wanted to do something that was a little bit more plausible than what we did last time. In the Getaway, you had to kill like 200 people in one day in London to get through the game. And, you know, obviously if you killed 2 people in one day in London, that wouldn't be, you wouldn't last very long with the Metropolitan Police. So we wanted to do a detective story and, you know, obviously love the literature. So, you know, Chandler and Hammett and all those guys and you know, even up to James Ellroy. And so, you know, that kind of, we've kind of felt if we were going to go down that route, the 2 choices were San Francisco or kind of Los Angeles, and we made a decision fairly early on that we were going to do a real cop as opposed to a private detective. So that kind of drew us to the LAPD, and then it kind of was really an issue of if we wanted to go back in time and do that, could we actually do a time machine and take people back, you know, and recreate it the way it was.
Thankfully for us, there was a guy, Spence, in the 20s, who flew over the whole of Los Angeles in a biplane and attached a huge camera underneath and literally photo mapped the whole of LA. And when we went over to the university and we went through the department, you could see the actual photographs. So there were these large 10x8s, and we cross-referenced the maps based on those 3 areas that we wanted. And it was relatively low as well. The tallest building in LA at the time was City Hall. Now it's probably one of the smallest. And so from one picture you could get a snapshot of all the people, what time of day, how busy the streets were, what did the people wear, what were the buildings, what were the landmarks, where were the popular hotspots. Imagine yourself going back in time in the 40s and looking down on Los Angeles. That's what we were able to get from the photographs.
If you're trying to stay true to a period, you know, newspapers are obviously a good place to start because they were the media of the time. And we started reading through them on microfiches at the LA Public Library, and they would give us access to the Examiner, and which was a Hearst newspaper at the time, and the LA Times, which is still going. The real life stuff was way more interesting than anything we could ever kind of really make up. So the newspaper story became the basis of a case, and then from there we'd sit down and work out on a whiteboard what the plot would be, and
there's lines
what the
and diagrams,
were,
and, you know.
Could you go back here if you found this, and what happens when you talk to this person. So we spent a lot more time actually on plotting than we actually did on writing, enough, even though the script is enormous, just because there's a lot of logical flaws that you can have with that kind of thing.
I was buying magazines from eBay, like you'd seen the Sears magazines and the wallpapers and home decoration. You would find photographs of people from the front, so effectively it's a 2D image. We realised the best place to get 1947 Los Angeles clothes is in Los Angeles. So we get on a plane and we fly over there. And we went to a place called Western Costume Hire. We ring them up and said, listen, we want to borrow some suits and jackets and of the 40s, and the guy says, yeah, sure. I said, so how big is the area? How many square feet? He said, if you put all of our rails end to end, it's 12 miles long. And so when you walk down miles and miles and miles of these aisles, they'll just bring you out outfits. So we then started scanning costumes in LA as well, and then we bring them back. And then on top of hiring the costumes, we could then photograph any outfit we found. At the same time, we organised a prop shoot, so we contacted all of the major prop houses in LA that do all the films, literally from 1901 all the way right up to, you know, Avatar, whatever. These are the real guys that the big studios use. We hired all of these furniture pieces, which were the templates to serve all of the locations.
Yeah, we put them on a sound stage, and they would put rulers next to them, and, you know, photograph all of them, so we'd not only have the object and know how to make it, but we have the texture reference and stuff. So
we have 180,000 digital photographs on the network. So when you look for a chair or a lamp, you know,
particular type of chair.
You know, so our reference is pretty rich. But the reason why the standard was we wanted the rich environment is with Brendan pushing for the motion scanned heads, we now have a realistic head, without question. And if you're going to do that, you have to have a world that is equal to that. Because what we didn't want to do is distract the player from the performance of the actor, and you're trying to discover whether he's lying, and then effectively he's in a 6-foot room with a radiator in the corner. That's it, and we're saying it's a living room. It has to be immersive. If you're asking the player at a slower tempo to walk around locations and discover and decide for himself what are clues, what's dressing, what's going to advance my kind of cross-examination with this person, has to be rich. As much as you can put in these locations. And the programming team have done a wonderful job to try and get this thing running and streaming, and it's just incredibly rich and detailed. And the minute we saw it, that instantly raised the bar, straight away for art.